All right, so let's go ahead and learn how to make a normal map based on an image that we found. So close that. There we go. So if I just go to, if I find an image that I like, and I'd like to make a normal map of it, I can do that. So let's say I want to have a seamless brick texture. And let's put in, like, I want to search for something that's 1024 by 1024. All right, and then I'll click on the images button right here so I can have my choice of things that I want. And I don't know, this one looks pretty cool right here. Tileable brick, free. It should be 1020, it says down here it's 1024 by 1024. I like it. So I'm gonna right click and save image. And I'll just call it brick underscore texture. And I guess that's fine, I'll save it in downloads. All right, now when I'm doing this, I don't see a normal map associated with it. And so maybe I could even type in the word normal map just to see. But it's kind of hard to tell if here's all these purpley maps are all the normal maps, but they have to exactly perfectly match up with your original image. And so instead of doing this and trying to download it and pick one out by eye and see if it's going to fit, let's just make our own. So anyway, so I'm going to take my, I'll take that map that I just downloaded here, brick T, click, drag, and drop into Photoshop. And we'll give it a moment. Maybe. There it goes. All right. So anyway, and let's go into, here's my navigator so I can see it. Got it. So I can see it a little bit better. There you go. All right. So it looks like it's seamless. It looks like it matches up here. If I really wanted to test it, I could do that by slicing it in half and taking a look at it that way. So anyway, let me get back to that because I all of a sudden forgot where I do that. But where I image. Yeah, I'm totally blanking on where I normally do that. But anyway, that's it. Filter, other. There we go. Okay, here's where, if I want to test it to see if it's seamless, I'm going to go to Filter, Other, and then I'm going to offset the image. Now, we already know it's a 1024 by 1024, so I'm going to offset it horizontally by just half of that. So instead of 1024, half of 1024 is 512. So I'll type in 512, and it split it down the middle, and if you can't see that, I'll go to my rulers. I want to see my rulers on there, so I should probably go to oops. Show rulers. So if I click on my rulers now, you can see across the top. Oh, this is not a 1024 by 1024. What happened to my 1024 by 1024? Maybe I have to click on it to get the 1024 by 1024. Let's see. Is the internet just slow today? The internet is anticipating a snowstorm tomorrow, so it's slowing down a little bit today. But, all right, not going to worry about it. Let's move on. Let's pretend it was. So, let's see. So there's 0, there's 0. So instead of, let's go back to 0. All right. And then once again, I will go to my filter, other, offset. All right. And so this image is only, what is it, 225 by 225. That's not a nice even number. That's why I wanted a 1024 by 1024. So, you know what? I'm just gonna, why is that? Not save image as. Didn't I grab this one already? What about this one? Yeah, they're not. Well, this one's 1024 by 1024. Even though it's got the watermark on it, I'm just going to use it just for the demo. So let's see if I can right-click it and save it. Wow. All right, we're not going to worry about it. We're going with this one. Now, what I am going to do is, because it's a 225 by 225, I'd like to make it so it's at least square, and I'd like to make it so it's a power of 2. Powers of 2, we're going to be 256 by 256. So I'm going to say, okay. So what I'll do is I'm just going to go into image, image size, and I'm going to scale it up, not inches, but we're going to use pixels. And I'd like to scale it up to 256 square. So that's a power of 2 number, and I'll say okay. And it's going to add some color information on there. So it's going to do it, and it's not going to make it look as clear, but it's a smaller image than I wanted. But for the demo purposes of what we're doing here for the using the normal maps, now we have a 256 by 256. So now if I would like to see if it's tileable, seamless and tileable, I will go to filter, other, offset. And half of 256 is 128, so I'll just go on the horizontal 128. And if you can't see a seam here, you can see right there, but you can't really see it. You gotta look, or you gotta know it's there. If you can't see it, then it's seamless and tileable. So I'll put that back to 0. Let's check it on the vertical, and I'll put 128 in there. And there should be a seam down the center unless it's seamless and tileable, and I don't see it. So this is a seamless, tileable image. So that looks good, so I'll just say okay, and we're good now. All right, so now let's make our normal map for this. So in order to make a normal map, I'll go back into filter like we just did for other. And let's see if they still have the normal map filter in here. So normal map would not be a blur, it's not a distortion, it's not noise, it's not pixelated. I think it's render. Let's see, flame, sharpen. I'm not seeing, let's see. So they may have taken out the normal map, but let's check. Yeah, it looks like they removed the normal map filter from here. Let's look one more. All right, so anyway, so we used Photoshop since they removed the normal map feature. We went into Photoshop to check to make sure it's seamless and to get the size to where it's a power of 2. I like that, so I'm going to save it. I'll just do File, Save, and I'm going to save it maximum right there and there. So now we should have my brick T is now, look at the file size increased greatly from like 13 kilobytes to 68 kilobytes. We increased it because we added more dimension to it. So, all right. So I'll pull that down. Let's go into our here, and let's check our normal map online. And this is a normal map maker right here. So what it does is that when you click and drag any map into here, what it will do is it makes a normal map, but it'll also make your displacement map, your ambient inclusion, a specular map, and then this is how it will show you what it is. So now that I've got my map the way I want it, I'll just take it, I'm gonna drag brick T into here, my brick texture, drag and drop it into there. There's my normal map. Now I can make adjustments to it. So I can adjust the strength of it. If you're looking at it and you're like, wow, that's like way too bumpy and it just, it's not looking good. So you might wanna crank it down a little bit. And so, oh yeah, that's much better right there. I'm looking at it there, and even in here, that looks much better. So, all right, so it's at level 7. Now it looks like, if you look here, it looks like the grout is like really protruding out of there. And if I look at my brick over here, my cinder block, the grout is receding, and it's just barely receding a little bit. This grout is sticking out terribly. And so let's make it the opposite of this. So my Z range, if I check this, maybe it'll make it the opposite direction there. Oh, that's not it. So let's go with I'm going to take my level down a little bit. I kind of like right there. And let's see, what else do we need? Strength, level, blur, filter. You can play around with the filters. I don't know what the difference between some of these are, and just see what you like better. And so that's kind of cool looking. I don't know the difference between them. Here we go, invert. So I've got the mortar is sticking out, is protruding. So I'm going to invert the height. And now the mortar should be receding on it. Now, if it doesn't look like it's receding, you have to remember that normal maps are dependent upon the light, okay? Normal maps are dependent upon the light. What does that mean? It means right here, I'm getting a shadow on the mortar. The top of the mortar has the shadow, and the bottom of the mortar here has the highlight. That's because the light is coming from overhead, and so it creates the shadow at the top. So if we were to pull a normal map off of this wall and then use it in our engine, it would calculate the normal map as if the light was coming from above. That's why it puts the shadow at the top of the mortar and then the highlight at the bottom. Now what if the light was coming from the floor and shining up? Then this shadow would be reversed. The shadow would be at the bottom of the mortar, and the highlight would be at the top. And then visually, we would know, okay, the light is coming from the bottom, okay? So, knowing that, when I look at this normal mapper, and I'm trying to figure out what direction and everything to go, so if inverting the height didn't really do anything to it, then that means this is just the direction the light is coming from. And so in my level, you have to determine where's my light coming from, and if it's coming from the top, then it will make the mortar look like it's coming from, it'll make the mortar look like the light is coming from the top. So it doesn't always have to look correct here. It can actually be opposite of that. And you'll think, well, how do I know? Sometimes you won't know until you bring it into the engine and just look at it. That's just the way it is. So, but I'm going to invert these just to see what they'll do. That one actually looks like here. That actually looks correct to me right there. But let's see. I don't know. Let's try it. So anyway, what if I uncheck that? And all right, I like that. So Where's my, now I'll just take it and I'm going to, it's a normal map, it's a PNG, I'm gonna hit download, and it made my normal map in there. All right, very good. So now if I go look at my normal map, here's my brick texture, my original brick texture, and then here's the normal map of it. Oops, not that one. That's one. There we go. The normal map. There's the normal map right there. So I've got a couple other files in here and it picked up one of those. But anyway. All right, so in here, it looks correct. It looks like the mortar has recessed and the bricks are protruding, and so that looks correct. But again, I may not really know until I put it in my engine and find out. So anyway, so that's how you can use this normal mapper if you find images on the internet that you would like to use in your level and you don't have normal maps to go with them. So I did want to show you that. Now, why do I call this a fake normal map? I call it a fake normal map because it actually isn't made from the actual light that Sorry, I can see it. It's still working on my end. That was really weird. Let me shut off the projector and turn it back on and see if that will work. In the meantime, I will turn on the other thing and show you on the screen. All right, can you see my normal mapper? Yeah. All right, so anyway, so now when I go into Unreal, and I'm just gonna launch the engine, I'll open up something quick and easy, and we'll just take a look at it that way. And hopefully it won't take a long time to open up. So, and in the meantime, let me see if my projector will come back normally. I don't know.
I didn't see you bump anything when you stood up.
Yeah, I don't think I did either.
Just blame the snow.
Blame the snow.
That's right. All right, I have no idea why it's doing that, but at least you can see my screen. So I'll put in a request to get that fixed or something. So all right. So I will just hopefully it won't take long to open this up. Let's see. Maybe it'll take just a moment. While it's opening up, let's go look at this other link that I put on here, the NVIDIA Texture Tools Exporter. So you can also use this one. This also is a normal mapper, and you can use this tool here. Sure. The NVIDIA Texture Tools Exporter, you can use that and just download it, and it used to be a plugin that you'd use in Photoshop. Hey, look at that, it still is. Or you can use the standalone version with it as well. And again, it's just, you can take textures and you can make normal maps with them. Here you go, right there. So you can use either one. I gave you two options in order to do that. The normal map online, which is this one, or the NVIDIA Texture Tools, which you can do a little bit more with. And anyway, you can see how it works there. So, but they both work just fine. and should work. They should make your textures look good. All right, so now I'm going to take that, let's get it where there's the wall that has lighting on it. All right, so my blue wall has lighting on it. So I'll make a material. I'm in my Brad Assets folder here, so I'm going to create a new material by right-clicking, and I'll just say material, and I'll call this T underscore brick, because it's my, well actually this would be my material, so I should rename that M underscore brick. So, M underscore brick. And then let's drag and drop we're going to drag and drop our normal map. And it should tell me, it recognizes it, that it brought it in as a normal map. So yes, okay. And then also let's bring in the other one. It's just my brick map. Drag and drop right there. And then, there it is. And then I'll open up my new material I created, my M brick. Double click it. I'll pull it over here so you all can see what I'm doing with it. And then I'm just going to drag and drop my brick into here. And then I will drag and drop my normal map into here. And then let's connect these things. So the texture sample, I'll just use the RGB base connected into the base color. And then here's my normal slot. So I'll take my normal map and I will connect it into the normal slot. And let's see. I'm gonna pull this over so I can see a little bit larger. Now, it actually kind of looks like the mortar is protruding here, and it's protruding instead of receding. And so, if it is, I can go back into my normal map program, and I can invert it, or I could see if I can take a -1 and invert it on here. So let's see if I can, is there a -1? You know what, I'll do a constant. And then what if I, oh yeah, that doesn't have a hookup on there. So I wonder if I won't worry about that for now. I want to put a -1 in there, and I forgot the name of it. Let's see. Maybe it's a multiply. If I hold the M key and click, there's my multiply tool. So maybe it's the multiply. So I would put that into the A. I would multiply it by -1. And then plug that into the normal slot. And it does a lot more than just that. So, we can actually see if you can play around with it and see if it does it to any of these other ones. And kind of interesting to see what happens when you have that. So anyway, and if you just don't like it, just go back to there and we'll just forget about this. So, all right. Anyway, so here's my normal map. So I'll save it, minimize, and then I'm just going to drag and drop my my brick texture onto the wall. Ooh, my UVs look terrible there. So let's see if I can put it on something doesn't have stretched UVs. So I'll basically come down here to modeling, and I'm just going to throw a shape out there like a box. So I'll just throw a box. Let's make the box like 400 by 400. All right, here we go. Accept it. And I'll just throw my material on that. And now it's not stretched so I can see it better. So, all right, looks pretty good. So what would it look like? So it's nice and bumpy and it gives it that better realistic look to it. And so again, the mortar's coming out. But what if I didn't have that normal map on it? What if I didn't have it? Let's disconnect it. So I hold Alt and click to disconnect the normal map there. You can see it's just smooth now. So I'll save that. And if I didn't have a normal map on it, then it looks like that. And it just doesn't have that quality to it that it would be nice to see in the level. Yeah, Colin.
Yeah, if you multiply it by 1, negative 1, 1, it'll actually flip the z-axis for the normal map.
If I multiply which one?
Multiply your texture sample by a constant 1, negative 1, 1.
With this
So
multiply?
add a constant 3 vector.
Oh, okay. Holding 3 and clicking brings up your constant 3 vector.
Okay. Then 1, negative 1, 1 for the values, multiply that.
1, negative 1 on the y.
Mm-hmm.
1. And then what about for the z?
Just 1.
All right, so negative 1 on the y-axis.
So multiply that in.
And then
That
plug
should fix
that
it.
into there.
Because you're just inverting the z channel,
And then
depth channel.
there, and then into there. And yeah, that looks good. Now you can see in the highlights that it's inverted in there. All right, great, thanks. You can see it's inverted. Now let's take a look at it. So we've reconnected our sample back up. Let's save it. Let's go back into here. My mortar is now inverted correctly so that the mortar is receding. The bricks are proceeding or protruding out, and it looks pretty good. So, especially from a distance. So now when I hit play, and I'm just looking at it, the brick texture looks pretty good there from all different angles. Except it's shiny, and bricks shouldn't really be shiny unless they're painted. These are shiny because they're painted with glossy paint to keep fingerprints and dirt and stuff off of them. But normally, bricks shouldn't really be shiny. So let's take the shine off. So back in here, you can see I have a roughness channel, and it's at 0.5. If you remove it completely, it'd be 0. And then look how shiny my bricks are. It's like they have cellophane wrapped around them or something like that. They're super polished. But let's get rid of the shininess because it's brick, and bricks aren't shiny. So I'm just gonna type in like a 0.9 into my roughness, and that should get the roughness off. They should be nice and dull. Save it, go back into my third-person map, and now let's play and run around in the light and make sure there shouldn't be any shine. So now there's no shine on that. There's 10% shine. It's 0.1% shine on it, which is basically they're still dull and very brick-like. So anyway, so considerations when you're finding materials on the internet, or even taking pictures of your own. I haven't done this in a long time, but I used to go downtown Raleigh about once a year with my camera or my phone, and I would just take pictures of brick walls, of nasty dumpsters, of brick sidewalks, and just everywhere. And I would build my own texture libraries. And the reason I would do that, then I'd bring it back into Photoshop and I'd square everything up and make it a power of 2, and I'd put normal maps on it. And so I would make sure that I had my own texture libraries. And I did that because that way my stuff looks visually different from everybody else's stuff, because I'm not using the same textures everybody else is using, right? I went out and got my own, and I can modify it. So when you build your own texture libraries up, your stuff will look the way you want it to look, and it won't look like everybody else's stuff. So my stuff will look like downtown Raleigh. And so anyway, and I used to love the nastiest dumpsters you could find. Those are the best ones. Just go behind restaurants and start snapping pictures of the sides of dumpsters and apply them to your models. And now you got these really cool looking nasty dumpsters and walls that have water stains on them and maybe food stains from where they missed the dumpster when they're throwing stuff out, right? Stains on the cement, on the concrete, all sorts of stuff like that. And I take pictures of tree bark and leaves and dirt and anything I could find downtown Raleigh. And I do that, like I said, about once a year, and just build my own texture libraries up that way. And so it's a really good practice to be able to do that. Even if you are thinking, yeah, but there's all this free stuff on the marketplace. Yeah, there is, and it's okay to use that. It's totally okay to use the free stuff on the marketplace. But if you'd like to have some things that are different and don't look like everybody else's, then go take your own pictures. There was a time I was doing a freelance project for for ABB. It's an electrical engineering company, and I would make their substations in 3D, and then they would ask me to change out certain transformers and everything like that. And this one time we had a building, and he's like, it's a warehouse building where we're putting, and the side of it is the metal, like the corrugated metal sides. And I was like, okay. And I couldn't find a really good picture on the internet. I wanted my own picture. So one day I was just driving down the road, and I just happened to pass by a building that looked just like that. And I was like, slam on the brakes, and I pulled off. I don't know, there was a couple cars in the parking lot, but I just stood back and started snapping pictures of this thing, and took it back home, cleaned it up, and used it in the drawing. The next day, the engineer was like, "That's it. That's exactly it." And there was another time I was doing another project, and they had a mobile home, because whenever they're doing development, the mobile home is where the engineer and the contractor, that's kind of their office, right? And so built the mobile home, got some textures for it, and he goes, "There's a special kind of air conditioner that's going to be on the outside of it." And so I saw one of those when I was, again, driving down the road, took a picture of it, all the different sides that I had access to, brought it back, cleaned them up, and put it on there. And he's like, "That's amazing, that's it." And then this last one I'll tell you about is that I used to have my office over in Pusher LeMay. I don't even know what letter it is these days. Where are we? Probably Pusher LeMay, maybe that way. But anyway, so my office was on the 3rd floor, and he called it an OSHA fan. And I was like, "What's an OSHA fan?" And so he described the OSHA fan to me, and he's like, "It's a big fan, it could be about this big, and it sits on top of like air conditioners, and it runs whenever the air conditioner gets too hot, it gets started up, and it blows the hot air out. But there's a metal grate over it, with the grating small enough so that you can't stick your finger in there and get your finger cut off." And that's why it's an OSHA standard, to prevent people from getting injured by these fans, because you could literally get your hand and arm chopped off with it. I was in my office, and I was just kind of tired, and I stood up out of my chair, and I went over to the window just to look down, and literally right below me was an air conditioner with OSHA fans on it. And I was like, so I stood there and took a picture of the OSHA fan, cleaned it up, and put it in my animation, and the engineer was like, "Yes, that's it." And I was like, awesome. So these things are everywhere. You can find them in real life and take pictures of them, clean them up, and put them into your library for making your games, okay? So, yeah, I highly recommend doing that. It's a good skill to have and to be able to do quickly and efficiently and get it done. So anyway. All right, so that's putting material on, using your normal map, and we also did one other thing, is that we set the roughness for it as well. They just added recently these extra numbers by the channels right here. They didn't used to have the numbers here, so just another way to add a number into the roughness here. The roughness is a number. You can see it says roughness of 0 is smooth, and a roughness of 1 is completely matte or diffuse, okay? Meaning it's 100% rough. 1 is 100%, 0 is 0%. So it's either like it says a mirror reflection if it's shiny, or it's completely rough. The other way to do this is if you have these constants right here, these constant vectors. If you hold the 1 key and click, so hold the 1 key and click, it gives me a 1 number value, and I can plug that into my roughness as well. And you can see 0% rough, which means 100% shiny right here. Or if I change the number to just like 1, then it's 0% shiny and 100% rough right there. And then save it. So you can do either one, but since they put the numbers, the entry over there, you don't really need this constant value anymore to hook up to it. I was just simply showing you another way to do it. So, but anyway, so now it looks 100% roughness, no shininess whatsoever on this material. So, all right, very good. Now for your assignment though, because we're using industrial, we're doing warehouses, warehouse factory, is that, hold on, you can, here's my, oh there it is, the launcher. So in the launcher, when you go to Fab and you're looking for stuff, you can just type in like factory or warehouse. So spell it right, factory. And oh, and I want free, so I go over here, price, free, because you're students, right? You don't have a lot of money, or may not have any money. I was a student once too, and so that had no money. In my sculpture class, my teacher said, you need to go build sculptures and do stuff. I went dumpster diving for cardboard and made sculptures with cardboard, and it worked out just great, and it was free. I learned where the best places to get clean cardboard was. Do not go to a grocery store, they do not have clean cardboard in their dumpsters. Their cardboard is disgusting. Office supply stores and furniture stores have clean cardboard. But anyway, this factory environment collection is a great one to download for this project that we're working on now. Yes, if we're all using this, our levels will all look very similar, but that's okay. We're learning, and I want you to use assets that are pre-made. But like I said, if you find your own materials and things like that, feel free to use them. But this is one that I'm going to recommend you download and use because it's got tons of assets in here already. And like I said, anything you want to modify, you're welcome to do that with these. But this is one that I recommend downloading, is this factory environment collection. And then you can also take a look at any of these other ones that you want. I haven't seen this one before. That one's a destroyed one. But you can continue to look around down here and just see whatever. Look at that, wooden pallets. How many times have you been in a factory? But if you've never been in a factory, there's wooden pallets laying around. There might be electrical boxes laying around, more electrical boxes, and so things like that. So you can take things and use them. So I would definitely look through all of these. Now that I told you that this factory environment collection is a great one to use, having said that, you can add it to your library, so definitely do that. But I don't want you to just load it into your level, okay? So let me go to my library, because I've already got this one. Maybe later. Yes, that's correct. All right, so I've already got that factory. Well, hold on. Here's my search here. Factory. There it is, factory environment collection. All right. So I'm going to use this one. I downloaded it a couple years ago. Let's see. I don't like this new way they have to do things. Epic Games Launcher. Oh, there it is. So here in my launcher, in my library, in my launcher, there it is. So this is alphabetical, so I'll look under F's. So once you download it, factory environment. All right, so good. Notice that some of these projects or packages say add to project. Do not add it to your project. It's a huge file. It'll bloat your level, and you just won't have it. Your computer will slow down, and all sorts of bad things will happen to good level designers. So what I would like for you to do is create a project with it, which fortunately this one says that. Some of them don't always say that. So I'm gonna say create a project with it. So I'll click on create project. It's gonna say, hey, you wanna create the factory environment collection. Where are you gonna save it? For me, BJ Swearingen documents Unreal project, that's fine. In version 5.4, yes, and let's create it. All right, it's gonna take a little bit. Look, it's an 8.7 gig package. That's why I don't want you to just add it to your project, because you're not gonna use 8 gigs worth of stuff. What I really want you to do is migrate it. You're gonna create a package, or you'll create a project, and then you will migrate the things you specifically want from this project into your project. Only bring in the pieces that you want. Don't just be like, oh, I'm gonna take 100 of these, and you're just gonna bloat your level. And I know I'm harping on this, but it's really important as level designers to keep your levels as trim and as lean as possible. You don't want bloat. Because what happens if your lead level designer finds out you have bloat in your level? You're gonna be working late. It's gonna be like, you can't go home tonight until all this stuff is out of your level. If we're not using it, there's no reason for it to be in the level. Sit here and get rid of all that stuff, and then you can go home. So might as well just do it while you work. Only pick and choose the stuff you're gonna use. Otherwise you'll be working late. Working late, coming in early to fix the things that you should have done anyway because you have bad habits. So develop good habits and only bring over the stuff that you need. So, all right, let me pause this. All right, so it's done downloading the factory environment collection. I created a project. It's in my documents, my Unreal projects, factory environment collection. Let's right click. Oh, there it is, 8.7 gigabytes. No, I do not want to load all that in there. So I know that my factory level is called PB Factory Spring 25. And this one only has, look at that, 435 meg. So it's not even a gig right there. And I don't want to bloat it. So I'll go into factory environment collect. And I'll open up this level. And then when the level opens up, I'm going to sift through, I'm going to look and sift through all of the different models and materials that are in there. And I'm just going to pick and choose the ones I want, and I will migrate them over. Now, a lot of times when you are migrating a 3D model, the materials will come over with it. So it knows to grab the textures, the normal maps, all the materials and everything with it. And it'll grab all of that stuff and bring it over. So anyway, so that's, so you don't always have to bring materials over in addition, because it brings them over with it. It didn't used to do that like 10, 15 years ago. The process was so clunky like 15 years ago, just to get models and materials into the engine from outside the engine, and now it's just so easy to do it. You guys are coming into the game industry at a wonderful time when the tools, the software tools are amazing to use. Everything used to be so clunky. You'd make a model in Maya, 3ds Max, and you'd have to bring the model in, but there were all these steps you had to take in order to get the model into your level. Now you just drag it and drop it, and the materials wouldn't come over with it. And so then you'd have to get your materials, and you'd have to select each of your textures and make sure that they were a power of 2 and all these other things, and you'd have to bring those over. And you couldn't drag and drop them. You had to download a plugin in order to put them through the plugin, and then the plugin would bring them in. So this may take a while. Oh, it is going to take a while. It's behind shaders, so I'm going to pause it. All right, so the assignment, we go into lessons, week 6, adding materials and meshes. It'll be due by midnight Monday on February 24th, this coming Monday. And so, using your white box level you created in the previous assignment, add materials to the surfaces and add static meshes to the level. You're encouraged to download and use free packages from the Unreal Marketplace, now known as Fab. When you use assets from other levels, use the migrate tool as shown in class, which as soon as the level opens, we'll do that. Do not load the entire package to your level. Pick and choose the assets you want in your level, and then make sure you texture every surface of your level. Add lots of meshes to the level. Also, if you need to make any tweaks based on the feedback received earlier, now's the time to make these changes. In the discussion board, when you're giving each other feedback, you should be taking the feedback and improving your levels with it each week. And then make sure to add your blueprints to the doors and elevators, and then make a video, like a 1 to 2 minute video of your textured level uploaded to YouTube. So, all right, 5 more shaders, 2 more shaders, and should come up in just a moment. So anyway, so basically this week we're just adding materials, meshes, and a couple blueprints to our level. And just waiting for it to come up. You can just go to fab.com also. It's the same thing to get your textures and all of that. So. Any questions about the assignment for this week? It's pretty straightforward. So while I'm waiting on this, any questions? Yes.
So for the palace, we did the block out and removed it. We added the meshes, so we keep the block out for this one.
So no, you're replacing your block out. And so the block out was just so that you could test it, run around the space and see if it is fun to run around in, to make sure that the space isn't too large, too small. You're just getting a good feel for the space. So now you'll take all of the shapes that you created, your rectangles, your spheres, cylinders, whatever, that you used in your block out, and you're going to replace it with real meshes now. So we're replacing everything in that level. The way I want you to do it, I don't want you to destroy your block out level. You should use that. You should always keep that so you can go back to it and reference it. But now you'll take that and you can duplicate your level, give it a different name, and then not the project, but the level. So duplicate your level and then give it a different name and then start replacing it with your meshes and materials that you're going to have. So your block out is going to go away and you're just replacing it with final assets is what you're doing. Yeah, good question.
Was there putting the materials to make sure all of the assets
Yeah, sometimes materials don't go on like the block out stuff very well, but if you like just made a wall and you're throwing a material on it and you're like, it actually looks good, it works, then keep it. Yeah, it's okay to do that, but like if we were blocking out this room and we have blocks for chairs and tables and things like that, we wouldn't leave those and throw like a chair texture or a table texture on it. We would replace it with an actual model of a chair and a table and all that. So yeah, but like I said, if you have walls, floors, ceilings, and you've got the textures and they work good, use them. Yeah, absolutely. So, so definitely you can do that. And did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, because the next 2 days it's gonna snow, if for some reason we lose power during this assignment, will you be able to give us like a little bit extra more time, or pretty much like Mondays, regardless is the due date?
We'll have to see. Let's see how it goes, but I'm hoping it'll be more snow and less ice, because if we have ice, then there's going to be power outages like everywhere. It'll be widespread, but if it's just snow, maybe only a few power outages, and so hopefully it won't affect us, but let's wait and see. Yeah. So, yeah, because I've heard anything from like 1 to 8 inches of snow to like an inch of ice. And like even the weather people don't know right now, and they're all saying different things, so we'll see. Like I said, I'm hoping we don't get the ice, because that will be really bad for everybody. If we just get snow, it'll probably be okay. So we'll wait. The latest I heard, my wife follows this one meteorologist, and she just told me a little while ago, latest she heard was like 3 to 4 inches now. So, of snow. So we'll see. All right, so the next thing, sorting the materials and meshes, and my level finally came up. So, and, okay, good. All right, so the way we're going to do things is that when you find stuff in here that you want, and you're just kind of looking around the level and you're like, oh, there's a chair, I want that chair. So when you select it in the level, and look, they've duplicated that chair, you like tons and tons of times, like 60, 70 times that same chair. They've used it in lots of different places. I just want the one chair. So what you should do is when you find something you like in here, and you can even do multiple things, but I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to say browse to that asset, browse to the asset. Then my content browser will come up with the asset there, and it should be highlighted in blue. And once it opens up, and if I don't see it, then I'll do it one more time. I'll just browse to the asset. There it is. And see how it's highlighted in blue now? Maybe I need to open that up a little bit more. It's this chair right here. And so when you're looking for stuff and you find it in the level, you can right-click Browse to Asset. But I can also expand my content browser as I'm looking around like, oh, I want that palette also. So I'm going to hold the Control key and I'll grab that palette. And there's a painted wall. Maybe I want that painted wall. And what is this? A paper box. Sure, I'll grab a paper box. And, so as you're grabbing stuff out of here, once you pick enough things, I probably wouldn't pick more than about 10 things at a time to migrate. Then what you'll do is you're going to right-click on one of the selected pieces and then say, go to Asset Actions, Migrate. Asset Actions, Migrate. And then it's going to tell you all the stuff it's going to bring over with it when it migrates. All the meshes, the materials associated with it, the textures associated with it. And look, it gets the normal maps, it's getting all the different maps that go with everything. So anyway, so it's getting all those. That's BC, I guess, is base color map, the normal map, and I don't know what the ORM is, can't think of it. But anyway, maybe the opacity map, I don't know. So anyway, I'm just gonna say okay here. I don't have to do anything, I'll just say okay here. And then it's gonna take these and it's gonna say, where do you wanna put them? So I'm gonna go find my factory project, which for me is my peanut butter factory. Double click it, and what you're looking for is the content folder. Just click once on the content folder because it needs to know where do I put all this stuff. And then I'll say select the folder, and then it's saving the package into the destination folder, 33 different assets between the 1, 2, 3, 4 objects that I chose, and it's migrating them over, and then it's done. All right, so I've now put them into my Peanut Butter Factory project folder. So I can go looking for more and see what else I want to do. There's all sorts of metal beams that I might want. So if I want windows beams, oh, there's a ladder. Maybe I'll grab a ladder. There's a ladder up against a wall. Maybe I'll have both of those. Just whatever you want in your level, you can pick stuff. I'm definitely going to need hanging lamps. To put up in my level, and so what else? Some metal beams, and I like the yellow metal beams, so I'll grab some of those, and crossbars. Here's some bumpers. I'm definitely going to grab some bumpers there to put in my level, but once you grab enough stuff, there's a table. I don't think I grabbed a table last time. So I've grabbed about does it tell me 11? I selected 11 things, so I'm gonna right click on one of them. Asset actions, migrate. Yes, migrate all that stuff. I'll say okay. And then I'll go back and make sure I'm in my peanut butter factory content folder. And then select that folder. And if it says this, an asset already exists at this location, and what is it? It's a material. A lot of these things share materials, and that's okay. So you can either override it or you don't have to. Either one's okay. It just doesn't matter. And I can apply it to everything that's got a duplicate and just say yes. And so that's fine. It's not a big deal to override it. And like I said, a lot of these objects, in order to save space and storage and all of that, they share materials. So anyway, it's done. And now when I go open up my peanut butter factory, in my level, I have all these things that have been transferred over there. So I'm going to, I'm done with this, so I'm gonna close it. Right there. I won't be able to open it again for 15 minutes. All right, so anyway, this is my peanut butter factory, so now I'm gonna go look for the stuff. So I'll go into my content folder, and let's look and see materials, meshes, textures. Ooh, it's like Christmas. I'm gonna open up meshes. There they all are. There's my ladder. There's the ladder leaning up against there. The lamps I selected, the metal beams, the bumpers, the chair, the table, the wall, the pallet. All the things that I just selected and migrated over. Now I can just start clicking and dragging them into my level. Grab that. And, bring it over and lean it up against the wall. Grab my ladder out there. And so my lamps, I'll grab a lamp and bring it out here, but I probably need to, that's a small one, so maybe I want to scale that up. So anyway, I'm just bringing stuff out. I got beams. Oh, that's a huge beam. Put a beam in the corner. Here's another corner. Beams in the corners. Let's see, bumpers. I don't want you running into I don't know, don't run into that cylindrical thing. So I'll put a bumper around it. Put another bumper over here, and I probably need to rotate that. So you're just basically organizing stuff there. So I'm protecting that. Let's see, a nice little chair. You know what, let's put the chair up here. Let's put the table up there. The boss is going to work from an elevated position so he can look at you and stare at you while you're working. Anyway, painted wall. You know what, the boss needs some privacy, so I'm going to get the boss a painted wall here. And let's see. So anyway, just kind of having fun with it at this point. And that's how you're going to do it.